Dear colleagues, I'm happy to present today a short introduction in generative AI and how it could be used in regulatory affairs. My name is Konstantin. I worked with Pharmaceutical Group for many years, covering digitalization and introducing different technologies in pharmaceutical companies related to quality, data management, ECTD, pharmacovigilance, and so on and so on. And I guess at least 7 years I was covering AI technologies and how they could benefit our work and how exactly they could be introduced in our regulatory practices. A few words about Informatis. It's a really good company which is leading consulting in a huge amount of countries in European Union, CIS, GCC markets. We have legal entities there with a lot of employees, and we're covering AI strategy, lifecycle management, ECTD publishing, pharmacovigilance, digital systems, and you name it. So now we are going forward in developing our own AI tools to be introduced in regulatory actions, activities, practices, and to improve our everyday work, make it more efficient, more reliable, and automated. So we're going to talk about what are the challenges related to that technology in our industry and how it's related to regulatory affairs in general, how we can identify role of generative AI in eSolutions, a few cases, how it could be implemented, and general strategizing how it could be, how we can consider it possible to be implemented. So what should be done before that? So regulatory affairs are already familiar with generative AI. I guess everyone tried to generate a document with ChatGPT or other models, so it's not like we're talking about some kind of spaceship. It's all around us, and the idea is how to make it reliable and how to make it introduced in our process. So it's not like our employees are trying to do some kind of cheating or cutting corners with ChatGPT and just generating something instead of writing it, but we should have a model in our pipeline of our process, so we will be sure that results provided by that model are correct and validated and evaluated, and proper employees are trained to evaluate those results. So it should be inside our data pipeline, it should be connected with our digital solutions which we're using, document management, regulatory information management, and we should use more complex approach to be able to say that we're using it in a proper way. So why it's worth discussing, why we're talking about it. I guess it's clear for everyone that our work is getting more complex and difficult from each year after year. So we have more products, more regulations, more markets. We need to remember a lot to be able to say that we're experts in something. So it's really hard to start working in regulatory affairs. You need to have background knowledge and experience. And actually, it's possible to improve our life by introducing AI tool to provide insights to accumulate and analyze information in the background, providing drafts for us, providing recommendations, insights. So there are different evaluations how efficient it could be, but at least 60% is totally achievable in efficiency and productivity. Also, we can utilize such tools for data monitoring, so it could catch up new signals from regulatory, from publications, from our colleagues, from other companies, and so on and so on, and we could use those signals in our everyday work. So in the end, we can save a lot of time for our experts to focus on tasks where they need to analyze information that we got, rather than just spend enormous amount of time by looking at something in the web or formatting documents in a certain way. Also, we're in the process of data standardization and restructuring. In IDMP introduction, we need to analyze documents that we already have, extract data from them, populate a certain database with that information, and it's actually quite costly to do that manually, and AI could be used there as well to populate that data in certain level of automation. So we can utilize different tools for different tasks. One of them could be used to prepare data, which will be utilized on a later stages by different AI tools to produce documents. So we need proper curated data, so we will be able to rely on it, and it will not result in faulty documents as our initial data was incorrect. Of course, there are a lot of barriers which are necessary to overcome. For example, we need to align our operations so they will rely on that documents which we're going to generate as drafts. We're not going to publish them somewhere or submit them to regulators. There should be a workflow introduced where we have data acquisition, data analysis, data processing, data generation, content generation, and evaluation, validation, and only after that we are going to publish it. Another approach to improve the whole situation is to introduce structured content generation. So we are not talking about content as a document as a whole. So document should be like an arrangement of certain data in a way that it will be able to present it for some kind of review or to share with someone to be submitted, and so on. But initially, all the data should be in a structured way, in a certain information management system. So AI will be easily able to pick it up from there and assemble it in a correct way into a tailored together document. As well, we need to understand that it's really important that we're unable to use publicly available models like ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and others. So they never will be able to validate them for GxP. They could be changed anytime. There could be even changes without any warning. So today it's answering in one way, tomorrow it will answer differently, and for us it's just impossible to use it. We need to have specific models in our private space in the cloud, so we can test it. We will be sure how and when it's being updated, and Only in such a manner we will be sure that our data which we are sharing with that model is secure and we can trust answers that we are getting from that. And actually it's totally connected with explainability. So if we have clear pipeline workflow and we understand how we are getting our data inputs in our model, we're able to explain how exactly it's being processed, validated, evaluated, and submitted later. So we try to create such a thing. So we have our prototype for a tool which is able to help us. It's like a regulatory copilot. It's automate first drafts for different types of documents. It's able to validate existing documents and so on and so on. So it's actually able to reduce efforts to work with documents from months to hours. So it's really quick, and we are able to use agents inside of that tool which are capable of covering different functions. For example, data acquisition, data assembly into a document, validation of the parts of the document, analyzing structure of the document, retrieving data from knowledge base, updating knowledge base, evaluating documents that are already in a knowledge base, and so on and so on. So just calling a proper tools in a process, we're able to provide compliant and correct resulting documents. Parts of that tool are able to be used for data extraction, for IDMP, and it's working like large language model with retrieval augmented generation when it's searching for a certain data in an unstructured document which was converted into a vector database, and it produces reliably high scores in our evaluations, so we can trust it to be used in a regulated environment. And it's a first step for population, a more generalized entity like master data management, so we can have a proper single source of truth which will be used later in different solutions. Another way to utilize that is to monitor regulations and to be aware if something is changing, to align our documents against those regulations. And we can evaluate the whole submission to be sure which questions could be asked based on the documents and regulations which are currently effective. So we can fix them before submission, so it will be first pass acceptance submissions if everything was made correctly. And those ideas are not coming from nowhere. We have our regulators who are actively working in AI space. They are introducing their own tools internally, which they're utilizing for submission analysis. Also, there are multiple submissions which were stated that were using different AI tools in while they were produced, and it's not against any regulations if we are following recommendations and frameworks which are already there, that we have human in the loop, we're validating how our documents is being produced, and in such a manner it's totally fine to use such a technology for our work efficiency and to be able to produce better resulting quality. So what exactly we are doing? We are able to populate sections of the dossier by finding correct documents in our knowledge base. Also, we're able to generate certain documents based on existing other documents, so it will be totally tailored inside our knowledge domain. We are able to produce quality assurance to evaluate different aspects of our files like hyperlinks, terms, translations, and so on and so on. I already told about predictive capabilities, so we can predict which questions could be asked about in certain dossier. And we are able to, if those questions were asked and we need to produce some kind of additional information for health authority, our tool also could be used here to generate response to health authority based on queries provided by them. So where we are moving with all that tools right now? We are improving our agents so they will be more robust, more intelligent, they will be able to capture more data, they will be more responsible, so it's like constant development, so those tools are getting better and better. We're able to work with multimodal data, so we're able to capture information from images, from tables, from scans, and so on and so on. So there is no real it's possible to analyze any type of data, so there is no burdens here. Also, we are working a lot to be sure that we can trust that tool, and it's always equal amount in validation and in development. It's always like that. So those efforts are moving us toward transforming regulatory affairs into intelligence-driven function rather than documents assembly, cataloging, and so on. Where are we going with all the tools in place? We are able to result in establishment of trusted regulatory space where all the data is stored in available for AI format. It's properly easy to be made inside the cloud. We have all infrastructure already in place. We don't need to start from scratch. We need to align components to work together in a correct form. So it's not that long, and this process could be quite fast, and it's not like we're starting from scratch. All tools which we need are already there. We just need to utilize them in proper way and assemble them in pipelines. So those cloud infrastructures are already validated, and we shouldn't worry about basic security, data governance, and so on. And I believe that those strategic initiatives could lead us to proper framework of AI governance, where we can utilize those tools in regulated environments, where we'll be able to trust them, to rely on the data provided by them. And it's really important to stay engaged with regulators, to follow recommendations and instructions which are being provided by them, and to share our approach in the process of working with documents. So it's not like we're cheating and using some tools to just reduce our workload. We are engaging those systems to improve resulting quality, to avoid excessive works to avoid dossiers being sent back and forward. So everyone are quite interested in having lower work burden if it's not resulting in something meaningful and just paperwork. So we're prioritizing master data management as a proper place for structured information, which could be used in all documents which we're going to use. In conclusion, I will say that introducing introducing iteration of AI in regulatory affairs is really important, because we have much better things to do in analyzing what should be in those documents rather than making them manually by a lot of copy-paste work where we need to spend hours just in assembling something together. So we are talking about keeping humans in the loop, not about replacing someone with AI, and just to improve resulting quality and efficiency of work. And I hope that we're going toward sustainable regulatory excellence and competitive advantage through intelligent automation in this area. Thank you for your attention.